Everybody, welcome to the Top 100 Space Games. I mean, Top 100 Games of all time. I am Roy Gannick.
Jason Levine, the gaming machine.
And I'm Wendy Yee.
Ooh, and,
Are they really going to be 100 Space Games? That would be amazing.
On Roy's it might be, because Roy likes them.
If you could have 100 space games that you loved and adored, that would be cool.
I will say in this 10, 0 space games. I know it's appalling and shocking.
I
saved those for the very
I'm
top.
out. I'll see y'all later.
I have no space games either.
I came for the space.
Yes.
I stayed for the games, man. Neither.
You like space games too.
I like space games.
Well, there we are. But yeah, so we want to talk a little bit about how we made our lists this time. I know Jason was telling us beforehand he did a bunch of different stats on everything.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking back, and the last time I did a list was before the pandemic.
Yeah,
it was
it's been a bit, right?
February 2018. And from my list back in February 2018 to now, I have 34 new games that got added.
Spoiler alert.
Is about 1/3 of the list is
Cult of the New. I mean,
Cult of the last 6 years.
Oh yeah,
that's already new.
Honestly, that's not that many for that.
that's not that many. I think I
many.
have 23 new games from this last year. They're not all from last year. They're just new to me from last year.
I didn't 100% keep track. I just
Or
was
new
like,
to my
I'm
top
putting in,
100.
they're like, oh, I like that one. Oh, I like that one. Oh, I like that one. So, and then figure out where it would slot into my list.
So
but
this
I
is-
have a lot of oldie and goodies.
This is my thoughts on top 100s now that I've done so many and reviewed games for so long, is that I have these games that I've loved forever, but honestly, some of them aren't even, like, they don't fit my taste anymore because I loved them a decade ago or 2 decades ago. And so the way that I did my list this year, because last year I did Pub People, and honestly, I didn't really like it. So this year I just took all of my BG stats of all the games I played this last year, new to me, not new to me, whatever, just all games that I played, and I took that and I took my top 100, and then I decided from there.
Oh, gotcha.
So I narrowed it down to that pool, because if it's a game that wasn't on my top 100 last year and I didn't play it at all this last year, then why would I suddenly add it to my top 100? So I just wanted to make sure that I pulled from a pool that was like digestible. I mean, that's still like 300, 400 games. Like, that's a lot of games still, but it's not 1,000. And so I felt like that was really good.
Yeah, for me, it's just really games that, like, I mean, I've always had, like, nostalgic picks on my top 100.
Sure.
But it's just because, like, these are games that I love. And it's like, if I had the opportunity with the right group of people, I would play these games. You know, these are the games that I personally really want to play with people. So, yeah.
I'm the same. I look at my list, and there's games that I haven't played in a while, but if anyone says, I want to play this game with you, and we could pull it out of our Dice Tower library, I would play it with them at a convention, at any of our conventions. And I'd be like, yes, let's sit down and play this. Like, I don't think there's any game on here that I wouldn't play. One thing I noticed...
I would hope so. I would hope so, Jason.
Out of the mega
You're like, honestly,
thousands,
the top 80, I would actually play. Like, the rest of these games are trash.
maybe. Well, one thing I did notice is I looked back at my 2018 list, and there were a lot of games that I had ranked high because they were super Cult of the New, and they might not
They
be on the
all
list this
fell off.
year.
Wow.
I know. So this year, I was more cautious with adding new games in, and they're not all in the top 20 or 30.
there you go.
You're going to see a lot of newer games today, in
Spread
fact.
out. Okay, cool. Well, I guess we can start off with top number 100.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's begin the game with a nice, simple bid of $1. Let's see where your minds are at. Go ahead and pass in your bids, please. Thank you. Okay. All right. What's this? Somebody started with such an outrageous number. Oh, they're brave. I guess we're going to begin with number 100.
Oh, I loved that. I love that. Okay, as a side note, we have a whole bunch of different contributors and people that are making these little 100 video, or the number videos for this top 100. And we want to invite you, any of you out there that are interested in making a short video for a number. Tom will assign you a number. We need some more. So go ahead and contact him at tom@dicetower.com and just say, hey, I'm interested, give me a number, and then give us a short little blurb video like that. So on to that, the most coveted spot in this episode is, I think, our number 100.
Why would it
Because
be the most coveted?
because
Wouldn't-
all the games that didn't make it to 100 are like really, really sad, and they wish they could at least be on the
but
list.
the ones above
Yeah.
that are like, psh,
I mean, look
100,
at
that's
this.
lame.
This is my 101 through
I'm
115
not gonna look
that
at your list, Jason.
barely
Spoilers.
made the cut. Oh no, these ones aren't
Oh my
on it.
goodness.
No spoilers.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
see, I think 100 is the most coveted. So I'm going to start off with Pandemic Rising Tide as my number 100.
yeah.
So this is one of those games that is new to me this year. Chris and I did this big series that was, we did a pile of games, a pile of Pandemic, and this was one that we hadn't played. And honestly, this is probably the most like Euro-y, gamery version of Pandemic, and I loved it. So there's like these dikes that you are building to prevent flooding, like you don't want the Netherlands to get flooded. And it has, it has those pandemic-y elements of you don't know where stuff is going to flood necessarily, but I feel like there's so much control in this game that you don't necessarily see in other cooperative games. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and so it reached that number 100 slot. It made it onto the list. We'll see if it stays there.
This might be spoilers, but do you combine different games like in the same kind of like game system? Like, will there maybe be more pandemics, or do you say this is my favorite pandemic? Or is that a spoiler? Too much of a spoiler.
Too much of a spoiler.
Oh, okay.
I do the one of a game, even if I like many
Right.
in this series. But this one particularly,
one's so unique, though.
It is. Well, the interesting thing about it is when Matt Leacock designed it, he designed it with Jerome from Splotter, so it's got Splotter elements in the game, which is
Yeah.
why it's got that great Euro game
Which is funny
feel.
because I don't really like splatter games, but I really enjoyed this.
Oh, now I'm so insulted because I
So-
may have one or two on my
Well,
list.
I'm not going to hate your whole list, Jason. All right, what you got for us?
So my number 100, again, I'm decided that new games weren't as, I didn't want to put them so high. This was my number one game of last year, but it's my number 100 of all
Oh,
time.
wow.
It's Disney Lorcana. So
Oh, wow.
I just fell in love with this game, mostly for the artwork.
I'm honestly surprised it's your 100 with how much you
I
talk
was
about
wondering
it.
how high this was going to be on there.
So the reason why it's
Star Wars already beat it.
See,
Star
most
Wars Unlimited already beat
coveted
it.
spot.
So the reason why it's at 100 rather than higher on the list is because I love the art, I love the collectability, but eventually the gameplay becomes samey, and it's not something. It's something that I will play all the time. In fact, I go on Wednesday nights and play it at Cool Stuff at the store, but I think overall, it's not as great of a game as other games on the list that I have that I feel are better games in
Gotcha.
themselves.
Oh, okay. Is this the only new game you put on your list?
No.
Okay.
There
Just wanted to
might
make
be a
sure.
few more from last year. There's 34 of them from 2018 on. I can tell you that much.
Oh, nice. So now you have to remake your top 10 of last year because Lorcana got dumped. No, I'm just kidding.
It's already April. Things change.
Things change.
There we go.
All right, my number 100 is a game with tons and tons of content for it, which Chris may have alluded to in other things, but this is
Tons and tons of conflict for it?
content. There's some conflict, but it's a
Okay.
cooperative game. This is Marvel United. This is a game, and I particularly like the X-Men stuff from Marvel United just because I'm such a huge X-Men fanboy. But I just like the cooperation of this game. I do feel like the game overall, because I'm really a huge fan of things like Marvel Champions and like this, but this, it feels a little bit more simplistic to me. You're just trying to find the symbols, trying to run around. But I love the fact that you have so many different heroes you can play as and mix it up, and so many different villains you can have. And I really like the chibi sculpts for everybody. And Simon's miniature is just so amazing as they put it all together. I didn't play Marvel Zombies zombie side until after I made this list, and it might actually have pushed this one off in place of it because I think I might like that one a little bit more, and Marvel Zombies isn't actually on my list at all. But I do still enjoy Marvel United, and I have a lot of fun with it, and this is what I like to play with my kids. My kids like to pull this out too.
Oh, yeah, our daughter likes this too.
This is why I was going to say I'm surprised that it's not higher because you play this with the kids all the time.
I don't play it with them all the time. That is part of the thing. Is like I really enjoy it. I have so much content that I haven't gone all through. And honestly, I've already started playing Marvel Champions and stuff like that with my son. So I think this game is fun if you want to have one that you can work together and smash on a bad guy with different icons and things like that. But yeah, my number 100, Marvel United.
Very nice.
Hey babe, did you get Primal out to take pictures of it?
No, why?
The miniatures are in the shape of number 99?
That's great. All right, my number 9 is Pan Am.
Number 9.
Number
99.
99. Oh yeah, I'm hopping from 100 to 9 right there.
That's why number 100 was the most satisfying.
Because there's nothing in between. So my number 99 is Pan Am. This is a game where you are building up your own airline in the hopes that Pan Am will come in and buy it out from underneath you. And that's how you get your main money in the game, and then you buy victory point cards. But what I really enjoy about this is that you are constantly making that choice of how much money do I want to put back into my company to make it grow, to make it so it's more likely to get bought out? Or how much am I going to put money into buying Pan Am stock because Pan Am's growing, and you want, that's your end game victory points basically is the stocks at the end. And so it's that debate back and forth of what do I want to do? If I don't grow enough, then I'm not going to have enough money to buy more stocks in the future, but also the prices of those stocks go up as it's worth more because Pan Am is growing and it's worth more. So it's a fun balance. I really enjoy it. You get to put out little planes and stuff. I think it's a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's the route building and the way you take the routes to determine where you're going is really cool in this. Interesting enough, this is the game that came out in mass. It came out in Target. It didn't really come out in the hobby world, but it's a very hobbyish game that came out in the mass.
Oh, that's cool.
I liked it a lot. So there we go. What's yours, Jason?
So my number 99 fits with something that I play all the time.
Nice.
Roy's going to laugh when I say this, but I play Marvel Snap all the time.
I'm not going to laugh. I was playing Marvel Snap before you were. And then
know.
you started playing, so I immediately quit.
Pretty much.
And this was 99?
This is 99.
These are the two games I've only ever heard Jason talk about in the last year.
Well, no, it's not
It's
Marvel
not Marvel Snap. Marvel Snap's a video
not
app.
a board game.
But
Well, that's true.
it's the game that, in my opinion, inspired Marvel Snap, which is Air, Land, and Sea.
Yeah.
Or
okay.
Critters at War for the Sunday morning cartoon version. So Air, Land, and Sea is this great battle system where you're playing cards and you're trying to win 2 of the 3 areas, and each card has a power that changes the game in some way. And I just love the simplicity yet complexity of this game. I think it's a really, really good small 18-card deck game, and it works very well.
Nice.
Have you played that, Roy?
I don't think I played either version of it, but I mean, base fighting games are not normally my favorite. I really liked Marvel Snap a lot just because it's Marvel themed, but I just didn't have time to keep up with it. But
okay.
But yeah, I know Marvel Snap they can't really make an actual version of, but I'm sure it's good. So my number 99 is a gigantic game, a ridiculously gigantic game, but some might even call it an essential game. They probably don't anymore. This is Cthulhu Wars. So this is a gigantic area control game with gigantic monsters where you all have asymmetrical powers and asymmetrical kind of like objectives, and you're trying to unlock all of them. I love the fact that this has like kind of the same sort of like action point system as like Blood Rage, where you have like rage that you're spending almost, but you're spending all of your little Cthulhu like mythos points to be able to put out different units and build up your cultists and build up all the different stuff. And it's just really cool to see like the gigantic miniatures on the board. I used to have a copy of this, and I don't anymore, and that's probably why it's slipping for me because I haven't played it in a bit, but I've had a blast every time that I play Cthulhu Wars. It's just like a really solid, like gigantic area control game with ridiculously huge Cthulhu miniatures.
It's, for me, I love this game. The interesting thing about it for me is that it's got these giant minis, but I think it was the first game with giant minis that was kind of a Euro game with giant minis, and it set the trend for Euro games with minis, because before that, minis were dungeon crawlers.
I was gonna say, is this Euro though? Because like
it's
you're
very
chucking,
Euro.
I mean, yes, you're unleveling powers and you're getting points to win the game, but also you're chucking actual dice to like kill the other guys. So
Are you fighting each other?
it's area control. You are
Yes.
fighting. I mean,
Yeah.
yes and no. Sometimes depending on your great old one, you're gonna have different objectives. Some of them are definitely more fighting than others. Some are more buildy uppy than others. Buildy uppy? I don't think
When
it's a
do
word.
I get thrown off the ship into the Cthulhu?
You are the
creepy
Cthulhu.
creature?
You're not going to be
Yes.
any ships. You are the great old one making terrors happen. Bring back
Sweet.
terror. That's a 4 Coins reference.
Bring back terror.
But yeah, that's my number 99, Cthulhu Wars.
Hi everyone, we're here to present number 98.
All right, number 98 is actually a game that's never been on my top 100 before, even though it's not new as of this last year. But I did play it, and it reminded me how much I enjoy it, and that is Anno 1800. So I got to play this at the retreat this last year. I was one of those that I was like, I think maybe I can teach this if I look at the rule book for a little bit, and then I ended up sitting down and playing as well. And it's got so much good, positive interaction. I really love this. So your people or your population is actually your resources, and you're trying to build up these different industries. But let's say that I have like the pig industry and Jason has, the can industry. Like, I can make spam out of that because I can just pay him a little bit of money. I can use his cans, and we together can make spam that benefits me. And he gets like a little, gold or something for it, right? But there's so much good positive interaction that you don't have to own every industry, and I think that that's so cool. And I actually have played, I don't remember what Anno it is, it's like 1470 or 1750 or something. I played an Anno recently this year, a few months ago. I got it on Steam, and trade in that is so important. You're constantly you're trying to make your people happy, but you don't have access to everything. You have to work together. So now that I've played a little bit of the video game system, I'm like, okay, I really get how that is included in the board game. I think it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, like Martin Wallace finds a very, very good game with this. I enjoy it as well.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So my number 98, the first time I played this was at PAX. Sam introduced me to the game.
Nice.
And it's a lighter game, but it works very well. I'm going to say this wrong, I know, but it's Knar or Nar.
I think it's just Nar.
Nice.
But there's a K in it, so I want to call it Knar.
Wait, Sam introduced you to a Viking game?
Sam introduced me to a Viking
Shocked.
game, yes.
Shocked I am.
But this one is not a...
It's the least Viking game.
Yes, this one is more like an engine builder than a Viking game. You're basically, you're drafting cards, and when you play the cards, you're playing them into suits of the colors, and you're trying to match colors in order to be able to get cards from the top, your adventures that you're going on. The interesting thing about it is that you want to build up the cards because it gives you more power, but of course you want to spend your cards to get it. So it's a balancing act of when do you spend your cards to get new things versus when do you keep playing out cards to get more leveling up. So it's a really, really neat game.
Is it Viking Splendor?
That's what I
Viking
really...
Splendor.
Yeah, that's
That's
what
what
I
it
really
looks
like about
like.
it, is that idea of increasing stuff, because every time you put a card out, you get the income of all the previous cards, but then you have to at some point get rid of them.
Yes.
So, yeah. You have to spend them. So, yeah, it's a good game. Good pick.
Nice. My 98 is a game. I went from a game that Mike really enjoys to one that he loathes. I don't know that he loathes it. But this is Res Arcana. I love
I just
time
played
games.
this.
I really
yes.
enjoy it. This is a resource collection management game, but you're also trying to figure out how to utilize your cards to make little engines. And it's just this game you're racing to 10 points. You're just trying to figure out a way to manipulate the cards in the correct way to be able to get you to those 10 points. There's different objectives that everybody's kind of trying to race towards as well, but I just really enjoyed the way this game comes together. And I enjoy these games. I mean, I'm not known for enjoying Euro-y style games, but when they're lighter games or ones that have engine building in them, or you're changing this resource for that resource real quick and things like that, I really enjoy them, especially when they're in a smaller package like Res Arcana is. I just have a lot of fun with it. So.
I had a weird first experience with this because I just played this on the cruise, but none of us knew how to play it, and we didn't realize that there were recommended first setups.
Yeah, starting hands.
And
That's
so
so
we just randomly dealt out cards, and so
I think you're not
felt
supposed to necessarily do that. You're supposed to draft, if anything, right?
Yeah, so we didn't do any of that. So I just happened to have the deck of cards that led to points, and nobody else did. And so
Counts as
it's
a
good
win.
one.
Still counts as a win.
It was a win, but yeah, a rough first experience for sure.
Nice. And that is my 98 Res Arcana.
Number
97.
All right, my number 97 is by one of my favorite designers, and that is the Phil Walker Harding.
Ooh.
There may or may not be another one of his on this very episode. But this one is Busy Beaks. So in Busy Beaks, you're collecting sets of birds and you're trying to trade them in for eggs. But the birds that you're collecting in your hand also have actions, and you need to play out those actions to be able to collect more birds. So there are a bunch of birds on the different branches of the tree, and so you're trying to make those choices of what do I give up from my hand so that I can get more in my hand, but also what do I put out that I don't want someone else to collect because maybe they're going for a different type of bird. So it's simple, it's cool, but what I think is really awesome about it is that it has a bunch of birds you don't use every game. So kind of like in Dominion where you get to pick your setup and you're like, I want these ones shuffled in the deck. That's the way that this works. And so it's one of those that I wish was bigger and I wish was more popular because I think that you can expand it a ton and just have tons of different birds and options and choices. And so I really enjoy that idea of not only am I reading the cards that are in my hand, but I'm also just reading the setup of what's going to be available and out there for this game. So I think it's cool.
Phil's amazing, and it's part of his
You're
Australian...
on a first name basis?
Yeah, well, I just saw him at the gathering last week, which hopefully you'll come out and meet him.
I just finally met him. I finally met him at Gen Con this last year. It was exciting.
The line that he did with these games are he made a bunch of family games in the company's called Joey, and it's like a little Australian company, so they're hard to get in America.
They are.
But he has a lot of really neat games in the series.
This was my favorite one in that series for sure.
That's you.
That's you, Jason.
I know. So my number 97, another game that was introduced to me by someone. Well, actually, it was in March. This was introduced to me by Corey when we were at Dice Tower West.
Nice.
Name dropping again, man.
So I may
Got the names. Drop the names.
well, I'm giving credit to the people who introduced me to the games. That's always a nice thing. I like poker. I don't gamble much, but I do like poker. And I got to play a game with Corey called Surfasaurus Max.
Oh, yeah.
And this one is sort of like poker. There's 1 through 10 in like 5 suits or 6 suits. And you're playing a card, then everyone else is playing a card, then you're playing a second card, and everyone else is playing a second card. And you're trying to be part of the best poker hand, essentially, and only the cards that are part of the best poker hand are going to score. So it's really neat to be like, I'm playing this 2, and then you might follow with a 2, and then everyone else might play 5s and block our 2s because they've now made a group of 5s over our group of 2s. And then I might come in with another 5 to be part of that group. And it's really neat trying to come up with these poker hands and make a great poker hand out of your cards.
But how does the dinosaur get on the surfboard?
It's a giant mini that you just put on top of the surfboard.
But how does he get
got
up
little
on
arms.
the surfboard?
He, with his feet, obviously, because the arms just don't work.
It's adorable.
Maybe the surfboard is part of the dinosaur.
I think it is. I think it is.
It might be.
All right, for me, my 97 is Horrified. This is a cooperative game where you're trying to pick up and deliver all the different things you need to take out these different like universal monsters, and they've made other versions of this. This is the only version I've actually played on this, so that's probably why it's going down my list a little bit. I really want to play the North American like cryptid stuff.
It's cool.
But
Have you played it with the little pop figures or whatever?
I think I did the first time I played
we
this.
have.
And you also have to like rescue all the villagers and keep them away from the monsters. But this is just a great cooperative game, and I really love how it all comes together. And it gives me like a pandemic-y vibe as far as like board games go, but it's very pick up and deliver instead of just like getting certain places. It's all about moving around the board and trying to like cooperate to get the right things at the right place. And it's just cool to have one of those. It's kind of like a campy horror themes. I'm not normally into like horror games. I like Cthulhu stuff, but like horror stuff I'm not as big into. But this is just so campy that I really enjoy it. So
It's fun that all the monsters actually feel different.
yeah.
And they tie into their story. You know,
Very
you want to get
symmetrical that
Dracula
way.
back into his.
And if you want to be more simple, you play with less monsters. If you want to make it impossible to beat, you play with more monsters, you know.
They just announced a 4th one. It was called something Giant Monsters or Horror Monsters.
Oh, nice.
They just announced a 4th one after the Greek one, and thanks to Wendy, I got to play the secret 5th one or the secret one. The
fan-made one?
Terrified,
Oh,
the
the
fan-made
Terrified.
one. It's really neat with modern monsters.
Gotcha.
Here you go. Name dropping again. Who's this Wendy person?
I know
have
who's
no
this Wendy
clue.
person who helps us with the library.
But yeah, Horrified, my number 97.
Okay, 10 seconds. Here we go. '96 coming at you hot. Ooh, too hot, too hot. 96 is too hot.
That was
Too hot.
awesome. That was amazing.
These games are all hot on 96.
I take it back. 96 is now the most coveted spot. My number 96 is Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. This is one that also doesn't get enough love. I loved Between Two Cities, and I really enjoyed Castles of Mad King Ludwig. And then they put it together where you had all the fun rooms that had to be next to other rooms, and you had to puzzle that out. But also you're working on two different castles with two other people next to you. So there's all that positive interaction of working with each other, but it's the person that has the highest scoring, lowest scored castle. So you compare the two, you take the lowest, and out of everyone's lowest one, it's the highest score. So you have to keep them even. You can't just focus in on one. And I think it's so cool, and I really enjoy that concept of working between people. And I love the theme behind having all the different types of rooms and trying to put stuff around it. I enjoy all Mad King Ludwig things. I enjoy them all because I think
'cause you're
the
mad.
castles are crazy cool. They're so awesome.
Yes.
And you get to make your own. So that's my number 96.
Anytime you could do an X, a cross, or, X, when you X two things, when they always say this X this, like if you take two great things and put them together, it's like a Reese's peanut butter cup all in one shot.
Like dinosaurs and surfboards.
Exactly. So my number 96 is not as new as everything else I've put on so far, even though I guess it came out 2018 or 2019. I just played it this past week.
Oh, nice.
It's Cubitos.
Oh.
I've never played this, but I have counted the cubes in it like 5 times since working here. All the cubes.
You need to. There's an expansion that just came out about a week ago. The expansion came out, or 2 weeks ago. So this game is kind of a dice builder, and you're starting off. It's a race game, but it's a dice builder, and you're rolling dice. You're pushing your luck, trying to roll to get as many cool symbols as you can, to get money, to buy new dice that have even better powers, and to get basically movement points to move around the board and race to the win. So as you get the better dice, they're going to have better movements, better abilities, better everything, and you're slowly building up your dice to the point where you have a nice pool to choose from as you do it. But I love the concept of just deck builders in general, and a dice builder is just a wonderful thing.
Jason bought some better cubes. The better cubes that Jason bought were better, so they let him buy some better cubes.
Well, everyone could buy the same. Like basically,
he just rolled with it.
we could buy the same. Like you could buy the lucky dog, and I could buy the lucky dog, or you could buy the government cheese, and I could buy the government cheese.
Oh, I want the government cheese. I don't know what that is, but I want it.
It's on the cover. That's government cheese right
I thought
there.
that was SpongeBob SquarePants.
I thought it was SpongeBob
That's a big
SquarePants
cheese
too.
block. That's a big cheese block.
I thought it was
Gotcha.
a cube.
It seemed like he wasn't in the sea, so it didn't seem right.
And by the way, John D. Clare might be one of my favorite designers.
John's awesome.
And there might be more John D. Clare games on my list as well.
Oh,
for
okay.
sure.
Watch out for that.
My number 96 is a great nature game, even though it really doesn't have anything to do with nature. Brian, this is So Clover. So Clover is a great party game where basically it's a cooperative game where you all have, you basically put these 4 different cards that are square-shaped cards, and then there's 2 words that meet on each of the sides, and you're going to be trying to write a word that makes people think of those 2 words, and then you're going to mix all those cards up, add an extra card in there, and then cooperatively all the other players are trying to figure out what 2 words match the 1 word that you made. This is just a super simple, great party game. This is a kind of game that you can play with anybody, and they'll be excited because they're like, oh, I haven't seen this before. It's just so unique with the little clover mechanism of everything and how everything fits together. And I've just had so many fun times playing this at the retreat and playing it at different conventions. It's just one of those games that people can hop in and out of. You got people standing behind you who weren't even in the game now walk up and help you play the game. It's just a great group activity, and it's a lot of fun playing So Clover. So that's why it's on my list. I really enjoy these party games that are just like so easy to get into and jump into, and that everybody really enjoys.
Party games like this are my late night games at cons. Like, play this at the
Yes.
end when people are heading to bed and they don't want to commit to something big.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is also a great thing that's like I have people that are brand new to gaming. They don't know how to play all the crazy deck building or heavy Euro or crazy like 4X game. Let's throw out a like simple party game where you just play with family members that aren't used to gaming. These kind of games are great for that.
Yeah, there's no government cheese in this.
No, but there is Lucky Clovers, and interesting enough, this is a game where back in the day it would have been a game that you would see at Toys R Us, but yet it's in the hobby world, and it's a great game, and everyone has a lot of laughs when they play it.
For sure.
I think it's wonderful.
Yep, and that's why my number 96 nature game is So Clover.
The end. Love you, big guy. Number 95.
Shh, I have to whisper during this one because he's sleeping. All right, my next one is an Alexander Pfister game, who's another one of my favorite designers.
Thumbs
And
up.
I get a thumbs up from Jason. I succeeded at something. And this is Blackout Hong Kong. Now, this has been on my list. So it's 95 this year. Last year it was 28. Then it was 27. And then it was 68. So it's done a little bit of like upsy downsies going on. But Blackout Hong Kong, it's a cool theme. And for one, it's a blackboard, which you don't see a lot of unless you're Roy Cannaday and you make a space game. But it's a cool blackboard, and that's thematic because Hong Kong has lost all power, and you're all basically politicians or some sort of corporation or something like that, but you're basically trying to gain the most influence during this crisis of like, we helped Hong Kong the most. And so I think it's this cool theme behind this very awesome Euro game that has some Mombasa elements to it with the card play, but then you have this centralized board where you're trying to put cubes out and fill in regions and areas, all while trying to make sure that people have enough food and enough water and enough fuel and all that kind of stuff. So it's just one of those really good Alexander Pfister games that I really enjoy. And I haven't played in years. And honestly, that's why I remember the very last time I played it was at Dice Tower West right before the pandemic. And so that's the last time it's come out, which is why it's dropped back down on my list. But I really enjoy it.
I love this game too. I mean, I'm a big Mombasa fan. No spoilers yet. But this was kind of the follow-up to Mombasa and the second spiritual successor to Mombasa, and it works just as well.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
So my number 95 is another new game that I happen to play at Dice Tower West. Joey had his Kickstarter playthrough with one of our fans who bought the Play with Joey for the Kickstarter.
People paid for that?
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Yes, yeah.
Thank you for everyone who supports us and wants to play games with us
I love you, Joey.
at our conventions. And Joey brought me into it. And, I love playing games with our fans in general. And we not only played this once, we played it, I think, 3 times in a row.
Oh, that's awesome.
Forest Shuffle.
Oh, yeah.
We played this 3 times in a row with our backer, and we had so much fun with this game. It is a wonderful kind of sort of set collection. It's hard to describe.
It's a tree building game.
You need to build out trees, and when you build out trees, you're kind of flushing through the deck. But then you want to put animals on all the different parts, on the sides, on the top, and the bottom to score more points.
Gotta have animals live in your little trees.
You could build a whole bunch of trees, or you could build less trees with more animals. And there's so many options in this game, and I like a game with lots of options and lots of kind of tableau building as you go. And this one has everything I like in a game: options, tableau building, set collection. It is and gorgeous art, as Kabuki Kid just said as well. It just is. To me, it's an amazing new game.
This was not included on my best card games of last year because I just hadn't played it, and Chris had told me for a while I needed to play it, and then I made that video, and that was like the number one comment people were saying. So I finally played it on the cruise, and I was like, okay, I get it. I get why everyone loves it. It's awesome. So good pick.
So I enjoy story in games, and I enjoy adventuring games. This game also is very Euro-y, but this is Near and Far. It's not very Euro-y. It has some Euro elements to it. But I love the fact that you get to do adventures in this and run around and like go have your little characters and get more characters for your team, fighting off bandits. I definitely do play with the variant where you put like twice as many storybooks on the thing just because I love the stories in it. That's one of the optional rules. But I just love being able to read through the storybook and do do those different things. But it's also about collecting the specific symbols to get points at the end of the game, going to the specific places to kind of like level up kind of your adventuring party. It just feels like an adventure. I love Ryan Lockett games, and I love the art in this, and I love just the way everything comes together. So Near and Far is a blast to play, and I love to see these kind of games.
I think that you can never tell me no to a beige Euro game again, because that's beige and it's Euro.
Yeah,
now
but
you
how many
have to
Euro
play.
games are you like stopping and reading passages out of
You
a
have
book?
to
Yeah.
play.
Play what? I played this. It was a Euro game. It's fine.
Ryan's games are all great, and they all have that same kind of Euro mechanic in them, but yet storytelling built in.
Yeah, for sure. I love it.
And before we get to 94, Kurt Deppner is the person who backed us, because I just saw the comment come through. It was a pleasure playing with you.
Thanks for playing.
Yay.
All right.
I am Ryan from Board Game Obsessed. This segment here has been brought to you by the letter D and the number 94.
Why the letter D? Like specifically?
For Dalek. I put the Dalek in there because he said letter
Because
D.
he
I'm
said
like,
letter
Dalek.
D. I love
Now
it.
it matches.
Oh my goodness. I hated Sesame Street as a kid. Hated
Really?
it. And I had to watch it. My parents owned a daycare in our home. And that was the educational, like, preschool hour was Sesame Street. But I remember numbers and
But
letters.
now you know
man.
your ABC.
And
No, I
number
know my
94,
ABCs.
number 94 to me, a Sesame Street game, isn't it?
Oh my goodness. No, it's Clans of Caledonia is number 94. This is the third year it's on my list. I very much enjoy this. It has a type of income engine building, a lot like Gaia Project, where as you take off or as you build like your cows out or your cheese out or whatever, as you put them out, not government cheese, but as you put them out, it uncovers stuff on your board, and then that is the income. And I love that kind of engine building, that as I put stuff out, I get something more. I don't know what it is about just uncovering it and being like, oh, it's there. I get an extra $1 every round. It makes me happy. But this also has a really cool supply and demand system, so that as you sell goods, they actually become worth less. And then as you buy goods, they become worth more, or something like that. Yeah, that's right. That's how supply and demand works, right?
Yes, yes.
So it's just it's very interactive in the spaces on the board you're working with, as well as that selling and buying price. That if someone else comes in and they sell a ton, they can mess you up when you wanted to sell the next round. So there's a lot of really cool things going on. I love Clans of Caledonia, and once again, I remember the exact last time I played it, and it was definitely many years ago. But I like it a lot, and so it's still on my list. I hope it stays.
Nice.
Hope I get to play it again.
I played it many years ago too, and I still love it as well. It's a great game. So my number 94, this is the first game that was on my list previously. It's the first older game on my list, and it's a two-player game. It's 1960, The Making of a President.
Oh.
And it's it's kind of a spiritual successor to Twilight Struggle. It's a
gotcha.
light card-driven game where you're trying to get electoral votes and get the most electoral votes between Kennedy and Nixon, and it is a wonderful introduction to card-driven world. I really like the game. I like the theme. It's obviously every 4 years it's topical, so this year it's topical again, and it's a wonderful theme, a wonderful game, and a great way to learn card-driven. Do I want to do this or do I want to do this on each card?
That's cool. So Chris and I just went to Circle DC, which is the like historical
Right,
wargaming
yeah.
con. And so I feel like I'm just starting to find this interest in these more historical based games.
I'm gonna start playing all the GMT games.
Especially the lighter ones.
Oh, gotcha.
The ones that are more approachable and fit more my vibe.
No.
And so that's cool that you said that it's like very approachable.
Yeah, I mean, this originally, it wasn't GMT. It was Z-Man did it, the original.
Really?
Yeah, Zev was the first one to produce it, and then GMT took the rights because they do a lot of heavier card-driven games. So it's very approachable and very light, and plays in under 2 hours, which is a good length for that kind of game.
Nice. That's awesome.
So my number 94 is a pretty old game, and I'm actually kind of shocked that this is on my list, but I've played it so much, and I've actually really enjoyed it. And this is a game that I started playing. I've been playing this game not really full-time or like a lot, but off and on for years upon years upon years. This is one of the, not one of the first TCGs, but one of the most popular TCGs ever. And this is the Pokemon trading card game. And I know that might shock some of you, But that is because I played so much with my kids over the last year. I taught it to Chris and Zatanna at
It was
their
like you
house.
played with our kid.
I played with Scotty and Violet and Emma, and just I've had so much fun just playing with them. We play very, very casually. I only just get the starter decks. I don't change any stuff up. I don't collect anything. We just have starter decks, and we pick starter decks out of a box. You pick this deck, you pick that deck, and then we just play against each other. And just having those memories and having those moments with my kids, and the fact that they're all into Pokemon, and I grew up being into Pokemon. I played the Game Boy game when it first came out, and it's just fun to be able to play with this stuff. I'm definitely not getting into any of the collecting or anything like that, but playing it as a casual thing with my kids is just really fun. So that's why it's pretty far down on my list, but this is the first time ever being on my top 100 list, even though I played this game when I was like 12 or something like that.
It amazes me how long this has lasted, being popular.
Pokemon is the biggest
kids,
IP
man.
in the world. And some people don't believe that, but like search it. It's the
it's
biggest
huge.
IP in the world. They got video games, movies, board games, card games. I mean, and this stuff still sells like crazy. There's Pokemon cards that if I had them now, the ones that I had back when I was 12, I would be able to sell them and like buy a car, so it's crazy.
It is. I actually never played the Pokemon card game. I played the video games, and I played Pokemon Go for a while, but
Yeah,
I never
very
actually
different
played
things.
the card game.
The card game is interesting. I mean, it's definitely very different than like Magic and stuff. You have the ones you're trying to knock out and win prizes and stuff like that. It tries to mimic a little bit of what you're doing in the video games, making them fight against each other, and has like different types and stuff like that. The gameplay is not like crazy, but I just enjoy the moments that I've had with it, and that's why it's on the list. These are games just that I want to play, and even though it's not necessarily the best mechanically for me personally, I just love the way that my kids have like interacted with it, and I've had fun with it. So
That's great. That's great.
Hey everybody, I'm Jardine. Here's number 93.
Short and sweet. I love it. Okay, my number 93 is World's Fair. This is the third year. It's also been on my list. This is one that I feel like Chris and I played relatively early on in our gaming experience. I remember Tim from Meepleville taught it to us back when his cafe was only like half the size that it is now. So it's based in whatever year it's listed as, World's Fair 1893, right?
Yep.
So in 1893, it happened the World Fair. So it's very historical based. There's a lot of fun little like stuff to read on the cards. But the game itself is an area control game, and what you're doing is you're picking up cards so that you can place out cubes out, and then those cards will let you put out more cubes in the future. But it's a simple area control, and I think that it's just a very clever light mechanism, and it's one that we've played for so long. And I love that. So you're trying to get sets of different types of majority wins because you score them multiple times throughout the game. So you're trying to get different sets of those little tiles that you gain when you get majorities, but then you're also trying to get most of stuff. And so it's just got lots of little different ways of scoring, and it's very clever.
Yeah, I liked this game when it came out
Yeah.
too. I haven't played it in years. I think we
haven't
played
played
it
it in years.
once. Me and Tom, we played it once, and we haven't gotten back to it, but maybe we should.
We used to keep our tiles in pill bottles for a while. I think we finally got rid of. I think we finally like let it go. Like we gave it to someone. But it's good. It's good. I really enjoy it, and it's one that I would have fun pulling out again.
Yes. So my number 93 is a very old game. I have some games that are older on this list, and this one came out in, I want to say, the early 80s, like 1982, I think.
I wasn't even
That's before
born
me.
yet. Yep.
I
it came out
know.
before me.
I know. Now I feel old. we always joke about how old I am.
Were you
but
playing it in '82?
I was playing it in the 80s. I don't know if I
Okay.
played it the year it came out. It's an Avalon Hill game, which was the company back then, and it's called Circus Maximus.
I've played this game. My
Have
dad had
you?
it. Yeah, my dad had it. I
You're
enjoyed
so-
it.
Like I
old,
said, I
Roy.
feel no. I'm old. I played it.
My
well,
dad played
Roy's
it in
dad
college,
played
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
When it was
I was
hip.
playing it in college as well. So this is a really neat chariot racing game, and you control everything. You have horses. They have a certain speed. You have chariots. You could have a light chariot, a heavy chariot, and
One of the
you have
things-
a whip, and you have a driver who could be less experienced or more experienced. You're trying to ram each other.
Yeah.
You're trying to flip other people's chariots. You're trying to run your chariot into their horses to hurt their horses, and then they'll have less horses. And it really feels like Ben-Hur wrapped up in a game, and it plays so well, and it's really a great experience.
One of the things I remember from it though is like you would slide if you're like going around the corners, or you like might mess up your chariot if you're going around the corners, but you could actually whip the other players if you're beside them
Yes.
and make them go faster into the corner to mess up.
Yes.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
very-
You're like,
it's
whip
a
their
very
horses.
aggressive like racing game.
Whip their horses and make their
Wow.
horses run too fast and flip the chariot as they go in the corner. Yeah.
Do you ram people and stuff?
You do. You do
definitely
all
do.
of it.
And
It's-
I think your chariot has
That's
like hit
exciting.
points and stuff they have to mark down.
You do. It's like
Yeah.
a war game in a way. Like
But a
you're-
racing game at the same time.
A racing game and a war game at once. And sometimes you could race around and go quickly, and sometimes you're down to one horse dragging your chariot across the line.
It's like car wars with horses.
Yes.
Oh, that's
yeah.
great.
So my 93 is another party game. I have a lot of like just party games that I just love to get to the table, especially with like new gamers or people that I haven't been able to show them to before. And then sometimes these are great to play at like different events and things like that. My number 93 is actually Dixit though. Dixit is just one of those fun games where you have all these beautiful art on cards, and it's super simple rules of like you put your card out there, you want to lead people to your card, but you still have to be subtle about it, because if everybody else picks cards that are exactly like yours, or everybody else knows what you have, you're not going to get as many points. It also has like a little bit of a meta to it, because you want to be trying to pitch the card to whoever like doesn't have the most points. You know, because you have that one person that like, man, I could really show this to Jason. I know me and Jason both like this if I do this, but me and Jason are both at the top of the score track, so I had to give this to Wendy. What does Wendy know? Okay, it can't be anything about
know
gluten.
everything.
It needs to be about, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so there's all just sorts of different things you can do. And you can also just make sounds or like sing a little ditty or all sorts of different stuff that lead people to cards. It's just so fun, like trying to be like, sometimes somebody will say something and you're like, oh, I have the perfect card for the thing they said. You know, I've played played Dixit for so many years, and I still have a lot of fun with it. It's just fun.
I've only played it once.
Wow.
But that's the first time that I ever saw that type of scoring. That was, you want as many people to pick your thing except for one person kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of games that do that now. I think Dixit was the first one to kind of do that.
Well,
or one of the first for
Dixit
sure.
Yeah.
was one of the first. I mean, I guess Apples to Apples is, well, it's different mechanic.
but-
That's
Very
different.
different.
You want everyone to
But
pick your
yeah, I've liked Dixit. I've never loved it. I know which version I like the most that I just
Disney
played
now? Is
it
recently.
Disney?
Dixit, harkening
Yeah.
back to Lorcana. The Disney Dixit
Somebody has
is
stock
great.
in Disney. Literally.
I used to work for them. Come on.
There you go. But yeah, my
Welcome to
9.
Tapestry. Pick one of these starting civilizations.
Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, futures. All right, solid power. You got. Start with negative 92 points? This can't be right. Negative 92 points. I'm calling Jamie.
I think it needs to be at least 95 because that power is OP. Come on.
All I know is where's Mike? Because Mike, you got there.
Got.
God. My number 92 is Spellbook. This is the other Phil Walker Harding game on my list.
Oh, yeah.
And this one is new this year, new to me, all the above. And so in this one, everyone has the same set of spells in front of them, those same 8 cards or whatever. 7 cards, 7 spells.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to get mana, and you either pull randomly from a bag or you can draw one from the board in front of you. And each one of those cards allows you to get some sort of engine building thing going on, or a points building of some sort. And honestly, this didn't speak that much to me the first time I played it, and I wasn't sure that I loved it. Because there's kind of a first setup and a second setup and a third setup. But once you start randomizing the cards, and everyone still has the same cards, you just randomize what that setup is, that's when I feel like it really sang.
Oh, nice.
Because once again, just like with Busy Beaks, there's a theme here, but I really enjoy that idea of trying to read what's out in front of you. And so you get all these cards, and you're like, okay, this game, do I want to be able to find ways to get mana quicker, or to be more precise about my mana, or are there ways that I want to be able to, like, there's a little bank track on the side, and that can end the game and be lots of points. So you've got cool decisions, and it's about reading the setup even more than it is about just collecting the mana. And so I really enjoy that. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's a really neat game. I played it at the end of last year, and because it came out, yeah, about I think it came out at Essen, right? So I had played it right before Essen, and I loved, you want to get these colors because you want to level up in this, and oh no, these colors aren't available. Do I randomly draw, or do I just level up in something else? And it's really neat the way you play the game.
It's also on Board Game Arena right now, like the beta testing or whatever. So it's fun. I think it's even better implemented on there because you don't have to sort through cards and
Oh,
stuff.
gotcha. Cool,
Yeah.
cool.
So my number 92 is a Rondell game. I'm a fan of Matt Gertz and the Rondell games, and this one is Hamburgum.
The Hamburglar?
Yes, the Hamburglar.
That is as Euro-y of a cover as I've ever seen in my life.
It is. All of the PD games have Euro covers and Euro looking boards.
Yep.
But so the Rondell system, which I love, is you can move only a certain amount of spaces ahead, where you move a certain amount of spaces and you pick an action, and with that action you get to do certain things. In this case, you're trying to put out churches and bells and all sorts of things on the board and have control. What's neat about it is you have to do certain actions to get to other actions, and there's certain actions that are really good, but you can't get to them because you can't just zip around. You have to kind of go slowly and pace yourself, and which actions do you skip, which actions do you take along the way. This was a system before he came up with Concordia, or there's another game that uses a very similar system, which I really like as well.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. And but I really enjoy this game. I think of the Rondell games, this is one of the best ones.
I like Rondell.
He loves that cover. Mike loves that cover. You can tell by all the images he put in here. He loves it.
Oh my goodness.
All right, my 92. My 92 is a game that we do a giant setup at Dice Tower every single year. This is a game that I used to have in my collection. I wish I did. I don't have space for it. But this is Pitch Car. This is just such a fun game of flicking little cars, racing around a track. And I love the set we have here at the Dice Tower, where there's just so many different pieces, and there's loop-de-loops and jumps and all that stuff. But even with like the base set, it's still fun to like set up the board the way you want and then race against each other. This is a great game to play with your game group or to play with your kids. There's all sorts of different people you can play this game with. And I enjoy dexterity games too. And it leads to exciting moments when somebody goes over a jump and finally lands it, you know. And I just like the way that this game comes together. It's literally just flicking discs around a track, but it comes out as feeling like a race game where you're trying to do stuff. I have a app version of this called Disc Driving or whatever, which is like a game where you're like flicking with your phone, and there's tons of different tracks that you can play on that as well.
Fun.
So like a lot of times when we're like waiting for like a meal, we'll play Disc Driving on it. It's very much like Pitch Car.
We played that. We played it at the Thai restaurant.
At the Thai restaurant.
At the Thai restaurant, we were playing it the whole time.
Yeah.
Which was funny watching Kenny fall off the board
over and over
again and again and again.
But that's what happens in Pitch Car too. Is like you fall off the board and then people cheer when you finally land a shot. So.
Especially when you do the tracks that Tom does at the conventions with loop-de-loops and jumps.
And it's so much fun, like those big group events where like you have the adults version and we have the kids version that we run at Dice Tower East, and it's just fun to see like everybody finally cheer when somebody makes it through the loop-de-loop. It's just made for exciting moments, and that's why I really enjoy Pitch Car. 92.
Nice.
Hey, Jane and Chantel from Ontario, Canada.
On BGG, this rank goes to 7 Wonders.
Number 91.
I bet nobody has number 91 as this. It's
Checkers.
I dare you.
My number 91 is Checkers. Okay, it's actually Zabika. Speaking of rondels, Jason. Speaking of rondels. So Zabika has a triple rondel. It has 3 different ones that you're going around with your workers, and you can't ever go onto spaces where someone else is, and you can only move, I think, up to 3 spaces. So it's not one of those where everyone gets to catch up behind, because I know is that kind of a racket mechanism? Is that what Tom calls it? I feel like there's multiple versions of what a rondel is. But so I think the way that worker movement works on that rondel is really cool because it prevents people from spamming certain actions. You have to do a little bit of a lot of stuff. Not a little bit of everything, but a little bit of a lot of stuff. But then also, there's a lot of different ways to get points in this game. And one of the coolest ways for me is this idea of overpaying. So whenever you build, or you like research poems or write poems, or as you build different parts of buildings that you're building, you can overpay. And if you overpay, you get extra points for all those resources. But the resources in this are pretty tight. And so you need the basic just to complete whatever you're trying to do, but also you want those extra points by overpaying. And so I think it's just a really cool system. And this is one that I think the cover looks awesome. Like I just really enjoy that rich, dark red color of the color mixed with the white and the UV spot and stuff. And so it stuck out to me. And then the actual gameplay itself stuck out too. And so I think that's a cool mix for me.
I need to try it. I like rondel games.
I think you would like this.
And I haven't played this yet, so I do
Wendy,
want to try it.
Do you think I would like this, Wendy?
No.
Okay.
It's not beige enough for you.
Well, this game, which is the last one for today for me, is also not beige. I think it's got a green. I think it's got a green cover, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but it's still ugly.
I like green.
It's older style art. It's a game by one of my favorite.
Freeman and Freeze, if it's green?
No, Kramer and Kiesling, one of my favorite design teams. Torres. Oh,
That's
maybe
not
it is.
green.
Well, this is a newer version
I'm
of the game.
disappointed.
This is a newer version of the box cover.
What is going on with the castle he's looking at? There's so many levels.
So the castle, that's the whole neat thing in this game. This is one of their action point selection games, which was their style from Tikal all the way through Torres, Mexica, the whole series. And in this one, you're trying to build up levels of the castle and get your pieces to the highest levels, and because you score more points the higher level you are in a connected castle. So you're trying to build up and get to the top, and there's different ways you can. There's like jump up a bunch of spaces or slide through a door and move up to the next level, and there's all sorts of different ways you can move up.
Oh, interesting.
And you're trying to be the highest, but you're also trying to be the highest in that white piece because you get double points for the one with the white piece in it, which changes from each round. It moves to a different space. It's a really good action point selection game, and I enjoy it very much.
Okay, so was black winning in that picture?
I don't know. We'd have to go back to the
Go back to the picture, Chris.
All I know is green wasn't winning. It was definitely
Is
beige.
black winning because they're at the
Black
highest?
is the highest, so they would
Okay.
score
Double
it would be
points,
double
'cause-
points, and they're at level 5, and I think it's 8 spaces big. That castle, they score like 40 points doubled because it's spaces
Massive.
times level times the doubler guy.
I
So-
think I would get really frustrated with this game of being like, no, I had it, and then someone else stole it.
Yeah.
Thieves.
Oh, that happens.
Oh, it happens.
It happens.
Thieves. All right, Roy,
Number
take us away. Last
91. My
one.
number 91 is a. It is a game similar to a game that's already been on my list, but it still has a little bit of a twist to it. It has a little bit of social deduction and bluffing and lying in it, and this is Detective Club. So it's very similar to Dixit, but then also has that element of like one person, everybody writes or one word gets written down on all these little pads except for one. One person has no clue what you're trying to kind of like show off. Then you have these Dixit-like cards that you're putting out, and you're trying to like make it go to that word. So everybody puts out one first, then everybody puts out a second one. The person that doesn't even know what the word is also has to put one out. Then after everybody's put all their cards out, everybody sees them, everybody kind of votes on who they think the person that doesn't know what's going on is. That's just after everybody kind of gives a reason why they put each thing. And the cool thing about this game is you can kind of like bluff your way out of it or like kind of catch on. Like if you're the very first person to put a card out, you better be really good at bluffing at like the reason you put that random card out. But if you're a little bit later in the turn, you're like, okay, theirs has a cat in it, and that one has a ball of yarn. Maybe it has something to do with cat. Like you can kind of like maybe put a card out that kind of matches it. And even if you don't, even if you mess it up, you can just come up with a crazy explanation to the reasons you put those cards out. And I've gotten wrecked in this game. I've also done well in this game, and it's just so much fun. I played this with Ruthie once, and Ruthie's like, "It's Roy," and like everybody's like, "Brrr." I was like, "Dang it!" So
She knows
just
your
because she knows
tells.
me, she knows me. But yeah, I love Detective Club, and it's another great party game. If you want to take Dixit and like add a little bluffing to it and take it like kind of to the next level a little bit, Detective Club is great.
The first time I played a game kind of like this, it was Chameleon, I think. Or we played some sort of app version of it.
Blend in, right?
Yeah, you have to blend in, and I felt like you're basing it on nothing. But at least with this, you have those cards.
Yeah.
So you have the visual clues. You're like, okay, everything's kind of dark, or everything's kind of red, or whatever. And so I feel like that made it a little bit easier to actually tell what's going on, because I'm awful at lying. Like, I'm
I
terrible
generally
at it,
enjoy
so.
social reduction, so
Yeah.
This game I'm awful at. I put out cards and everyone's like, what are you putting out? It makes no sense. And they always think I'm the wrong person when I
like-
have a good plan of what the card means. And I'm just awful at, because the cards are so
I
vague.
put out this card because arrgh.
Exactly. And then they're like, no, you're just bad. You're just
You're
the
just
trader who
bad.
doesn't know what's going on. I'm like,
love
I'm
it.
not. Trust me, I'm not.
Don't play social reduction with Jason, or he will throw you over the coals to
Oh my
make it
goodness.
happen.
I'm surprised we didn't see a bunch of social deduction yet. Those are lower down, right? Those
Uh,
are lower down or
I
higher
don't
up.
have-
How do you
I don't have
explain that?
many social
yeah, it just depends.
deductions.
It just depends.
It's not my favorite style of game. I mean, I have
some, but they normally have more game to do with them than just the social deduction part. There's more to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was our first 10 of our top 100 list. Do remember, if you do want to be one of the numbers or one of the speakers that says the numbers, make sure to email Tom at dicetower.com and he will set you up with a number for that as well. We're looking to fill out more of the list, and you could be on a Dice Tower video. We're just having a whole bunch of people from the audience do this, and it's really awesome to see so many like different people be a part of it.
Yeah, and cool. I love seeing people's ideas. Like everyone has such unique, cool thoughts that they have. So I love to see your creativity.
96 is hot. We know this. Oh, and the D was for Dice Tower. So if anyone know what the D is for, the D is for Dice Tower.
And for Dalek.
And, that one,
and now it's
and
for Dalek.
It's for Dalek now.
Exterminate.
So, or Doctor Who, or
Doctor Who cares.
D is for a lot of things.
D is for adorable.
But yeah, thank you everybody for joining us here on the first little bit here. We're going to be doing our next 10
tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow.
And then we are also going to be having Chris
place.
and Camilla and Joey doing theirs later on in the week. So stay tuned for tons and tons of top 100 goodness, and let us know how you guys like the list. I got paired up with the Euro people. What's going on here?
Yes.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. I'll bring the combat and theme.
As we know,
you're
a Euro designer anyway. We know this.
All right, cut it. I've been Roy Kennedy.
You had a Roy Euro game. You had a Euro game on your list already, okay? And it was beige.
Jason Levine, the gaming machine.
It's a wolf in sheep's clothing. I'm Wendy.
I'll see you guys next time.
And have fun gaming.